Well, in the beginning for me, what I found was very useful and handy was I'm a big note taker. So when we got the diagnosis, I went out and got a notepad, pens, and I just wrote down. I wrote down any conversation I had with a provider. I had a section at the back with questions. And I wrote down all the questions. So anything that would pop into my head, I would go ahead and do that.
Our coping mechanism was doing research from the internet, from books, wherever we could find information. But what it came down to is really what mattered for our child. And it wasn't really what could happen down the line, it was actually what was happening now. What could we focus on?
Our daughter was in the intensive care unit where there were lots of doctors and rounds happened with many people there, lots of sophisticated terminology and some really intricate numbers, a lot of information that we didn't understand or know how to process. So we took notes during the rounds and we took that information back to our care nurse and got some support from her to be able to come to a better understanding of the information.
Well, looking back, I recall I asked so many silly questions now in hindsight, but there's no such thing as a silly question. When your kid receives a diagnosis and it's out of left field, all crazy things come into your mind. So I asked and there's no such thing as a silly question. I asked many different questions, and that was okay.
In the beginning, there was so much going on and so much information was being sort of tossed back and forth. And we found that we were very tentatively asking questions to just try to gather more information, to become more knowledgeable. We're just saying, what is this? What does this mean? And as we gathered that information, digested it, and became more knowledgeable about what was happening, we were able to ask much more sophisticated questions like, okay, so what are we going to do about this? And what are some options for us to address this?
In the beginning, what I did was that I sought other parents who had gone before me. And for me, I was able to find online communities where people shared their experience. And in doing so, I felt connected. By getting the practical advice that was offered, I felt stronger and it gave me hope. It gave me hope that I knew that I could do this and that we were going to be fine.